What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of
Dream
Stream
Kings.
Kings. Coming at you live on a Sunday night. Had a little bit of a delay in recording this week, but hopefully you guys can catch on, maybe in that morning commute tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? But today we're going to be talking about the 2001 comedy, and based off of the internet, comedy slash thriller. I don't know how.
Yeah,
Classic,
no, I noticed that as
right?
well.
Well, I should say what it is before we ask if it's a thriller or not. We're talking about Zoolander, the Ben Stiller comedy, um,
Slash
comedy
thriller.
thriller. Like I don't know what really constitutes a thriller. I guess because I guess there's some action sequences and some fun things that happen, but
Right. There's like a mild assassination plot for some reason. But I mean, I don't know that it constitutes thriller. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe that
maybe
should be a
to
category. Is this movie a thriller?
could this be a slash thriller?
Could this or like we need to do one. It's like, does this movie meet the internet's sub criteria for like comedy? Sometimes it's like horror slash comedy or something. It's like, is this
Maybe to
funny?
if maybe to somebody a little less like numb to horror and thriller stuff, maybe this is pretty thrilling. I don't know.
Right,
But
right.
so Zoolander, ah, what a classic. So just by the numbers, which, my favorite thing. So 2001 comedy available on Prime right now. So for all of our people trying to watch as they go, um, check it out up there. So I thought this was interesting because I know we say Rotten Tomatoes, not the end all be all. So only a 65% score, but an 80% audience score, which I think this is one of those where it's like, you know what? Those of you guys who are watching this movie and you say it's not good, most of the actual people who are watching this movie really enjoyed it. And I'll say like it's one of those comedies that I'm not gonna say I go back and rewatch it like frequently, but it's good. I think
Right.
it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Um, it kind of underperformed in the box office. It had a $28 million budget and only made just over 60, like just shy of 61 actually. But I think part of that is attributed to the release date. So this was again 2001. So this came out in September 28th. So not long after 9/11. So I was a tyke, but I remember a lot of things changed and during that time. So I think you could attribute some of that poor performance to you know pretty
Yeah.
major historical event in our time.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but but good movie. You agree? Disagree?
No, agree. Agree. But I think also, and I don't know if it's rewatching it as I'm older, but you can see, you know, I don't know. I guess I see where the critics got like 65%
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
rewatching it now, but I remember watching it when it came out, or
Mm-hmm.
even like a few years after. I actually don't remember the first time I ever saw this movie. It was kind of along the same time as like, I mean, all the other similar movies around that
Mm-hmm.
time. Like Anchorman and
Mm-hmm.
Dodgeball, um, Old School, those kind of. I
Right.
remember seeing it kind of all clumped together with
Yeah.
all of those. But then I would have told you it was one of the funniest movies ever ever put to film, ever screened, you know?
I I still found myself many times like really like laughing out loud. Like when
No, no, yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah. For sure.
after when they're at the funeral at the kind of beginning of the movie and Stiller says, "I'm not an oogogologist" or something like that. And it's like, oogogology. It's like,
You know,
it's like what
Eulogy.
the
I'm not a great
heck?
Googleizer.
Yes, thank
The
you.
gas station scene still gets to the orange mocha frappuccino. It's like they all died of a freak gas station accident.
Freak gas station accident. And then I love at the end of the movie. Sorry, this is not anything that I have notes on right now, but when they're at the school for the kids who don't read well or read good. I forget what it is.
Want to learn how
And,
to do other stuff good too.
yes, and in I don't know if you noticed, but like the water feature is the guys with like the
The
gas.
gas, yeah, it's the gas hoses. But I think this is what makes whether you think it's funny or not, but like these kind of movies were like built to do stuff like this, like just
Hmm.
like even like recollecting them and talking about them years and years and years later, and
Hmm.
still remembering how funny it was, whether it's still good or not. It
Yeah,
was funny when you watched it, and
yeah,
you still find it funny now. Like even however many years later since you've seen it, we're still just, I mean, briefly describing scenes and losing it over how funny it
right,
was.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that's why, like, that's one reason why I kind of, I tend to really enjoy comedies because I think, I enjoy some heavier stuff, right? And I think we've done quite a few of those on this podcast, right?
Hmm.
Like, we've done 13 Assassins, Saltburn, The Omen. Those are very like intense and can be pretty thought provoking as well.
Right.
But you've got comedies, and they're kind of like especially something like this, and a lot of like you're talking about that time period, right? Those like that 2000s to like
Right.
2012, 13. Those movies like really they didn't take themselves too seriously, like that whole Judd Apatow like time
Right.
frame, right? And it wasn't just him, but it was a lot of those guys. Like they and yeah, I guess you could say even in the 90s, like Adam Sandler kind of started with some of those as well. But
Hmm.
I think that's kind of the beauty of comedies. Like they don't take themselves seriously. They um and they just like to have fun. So
Hmm. Yeah, and I just quickly pulled up like early 2000s comedies,
mhm,
and so you've got like some of the ones that just pop up real quick, like The Hangover, Super Bad, Wedding
mhm,
Crashers, like Dodgeball, Step Brothers.
mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
and you'd, I mean, most of the ones I mentioned too also are starring the same people.
Yeah. Yep.
That whole crew of Tropic Thunder, Borat, School of
Mhm.
Rock. Um, yeah, there was just those, like you said, it's like sometimes we've done a lot of really thought provoking, and there's a lot of underlying subtext that we can analyze and stuff. But sometimes it's nice just to watch a movie where like it doesn't mean anything. It's
Yeah.
just it's just funny, dude.
Yep. Yep. I was just looking forward to laughing, which I did many times.
Yeah,
So Um, do. So, which speaking of, so some of the funniest lines to me, I wanted to capture a few of them. I don't know if you have any ready to rock and roll, but
I
um,
don't, but I will look some up and I will pick them as we
okay,
go through.
okay. So, very early on in the movie, when they're at the salon and he's getting interviewed, when did you know you wanted to be a model? He says, must have been my second time through the first grade. Just very casually. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, not ashamed of it at all. Must have been my second time through the first grade. Looking at a spoon.
Hmm.
And then later on, when you actually get to go in his house, and he has this huge spoon on his wall that he can actually like still see his reflection on it. I was like,
Yeah.
that's great. That's fantastic. Um, are you worried about Hansel? Not as much as I'm worried about Gretel.
That's like a rattle.
Oh.
I think one of mine is, and I just realized it too. I didn't even think is like when they're at the music awards and they're
Mm-hmm.
giving out like the slashy or whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
actor slash model,
Yeah.
and Hansel's little like voiceover in the background, and he's talking. I was more interested in what bark was made out of on a tree. Richard Gere, he's a real hero. Sting. Do I know what product I'm selling? No. Do I know what
No,
I'm doing? No. But I'm here. And I think it's the way Owen Wilson does it. Like I don't think
for sure.
like
For
nobody
sure.
else could have said that monologue.
Yeah.
Do I know what I'm doing? No, but I'm here and I'm gonna give it my best shot.
Sorry, you froze for a second, so I was like, maybe I'm just waiting. Yeah, but yeah, I think you're right. Owen Wilson did that one perfectly. Um, I love when, um, oh my gosh, Mugatu is trying to get Zoolander to like join him, right? And his after
Hmm.
Zoolander said like, oh, I want to have an impact on people, and he unveils the model of the building, and he's
Hmm.
like, what is this? A center for ants? Just like throws it everywhere. He's just over it. He's just like,
Yeah.
just hilarious. And then one of my favorites, and I swear, well, I'll talk about this afterwards. He's talking to Hansel. He says, "You think you're too cool for school? Well, got a newsflash for you, Walter Cronkite. You aren't."
You aren't.
So, question on this: I swear that somebody sampled that line in a song. Does that sound familiar to you at all, or am I just totally making that up? Like I was digging around in the bowels of the internet for this, and I couldn't find anything.
It doesn't off the bat. I mean, it's
Again,
possible.
could
I
totally be
mean,
going
people
crazy.
sample movies all the time. I mean, we could try to find it later. I can't
I
think of it off the top of my head. I'll tell you that.
I I, I could have sworn it was like a rap song or something where somebody just took
Hmm.
that, but again, could have just been making that up. Any other like funny quotes or anything that sticks out to you?
Um, Newsflash, Matilda. I was at a day spa. DAIYE. Or when they're making fun
Oh
of her,
yeah,
like Earth
yep,
Matilda.
that's
Hello.
a good one.
Yeah.
So good.
Mm.
And then I think later on, where Matilda's like, enough with the news flashes," because she says it like so many times. Man, there's a lot. There's
Hmm. Yeah.
a lot of really quotable things with this movie, which is another reason why I think like comedies can stick around for so long, because part
Hmm.
of a comedy is like the camaraderie that kind of goes with it, because like you watch it with your pals, you're watching it with whoever, or even if
Hmm.
you don't watch it with your friends, you're all talking about it like at school the next day or whatever, and you're
Hmm.
just like you're making the jokes, and it just kind of sticks that way. So
Hmm.
I've got a couple snips and then a couple questions I thought we could discuss before we get into
All right.
categories.
Snip it
So
up.
you kind of mentioned this one already, but I love the underlying plot to this whole movie is that it's the end of like sweatshop labor in Malaysia, and so they're
Right.
trying to assassinate the prime minister of Malaysia. How
Right.
insane is that? And
Right.
do you think something like that is actually going on in, not to get too conspiracy here, but like how many times do you think stuff like this actually happened?
I don't know, like a Manchurian candidate situation,
Mm-hmm.
except with male mod. I don't know, man.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
feel like
stranger
it's
things have happened, Not
yeah.
to get also again too conspiracy theory-ish, but like a really good example is like MK Ultra, you know?
Oh yeah,
Like for
yeah, yeah, yeah,
years
yeah, yeah.
people were like, no, surely not. But like the reality is that was an actual US government program.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I mean, I guess the possibility exists, as ridiculous as this particular thing is. Maybe things along that line um could happen, but as far as, brainwashing male models with, Fred Durst and sound you know, strategically placed EDM beats. I don't know. I don't know.
Relax, just do
Go do it.
it.
Yeah.
My second snip, and I alluded to this the other night. So when Derek goes home to work in the coal mines for a couple days, and they're sitting at the bar, and he goes, "That is you making fun of me every night on Call of Duty. When I say something, I'm like, oh, uh,
Black one pop. Yeah, Maybe that's where I picked up the mocking voice from.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. So, but fun moment there.
Hmm.
All right. Couple questions. And I think
All right, let's hear it.
one serious one and one non-serious. So,
Okay.
non-serious, is Blue Steel just a cooler version of Duckface?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All
Blue
right. Glad
Steel
we're
is
on the same page.
quasi duck face. They're all this. It's all the same.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
Okay.
Um, serious question. Is Ben Stiller on the Mount Rushmore of comedians?
That's tough.
Yeah,
Hit me with a tough one.
I know. No
Um,
preparation at all.
I'm gonna go with yes, especially just because of like that run of like early 2000s
Mm-hmm.
movies, and I guess, given some time, they could interchange and exchange some, but I guess on a personal level, absolutely, like the
Mm-hmm.
movies he was in specifically were some
Mm-hmm.
of my most memorable ones, from like high
Sure.
school. So,
Sure. I I I think his run of movies is impressive. Just a couple. I like some of my favorites: Zoolander, Heavyweights, which I think a lot of people forget about. Um, so good.
Happy
Dodgeball.
Gilmore.
Happy. He's in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
I forgot he was in that
he
movie.
works at the nursing home
Okay.
with his grandma, you
Huh.
know.
I just
Hey,
took a
my
nap to that
fingers
movie
hurt. Well,
the
now
other
your
day.
back's about to hurt because you just acquired landscaping duty. I'm pretty sure he is. Let
No,
me
I
look.
believe you. I
Maybe
believe you.
I hope I don't sound like an idiot.
Well, you might, but that's okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure that. Yeah, no, he's got a killer
Okay.
mustache too.
I think that's a great run, and I think it's close. Like I think if he's not on there, I think he's like number five.
Hmm.
Like I think if I look at Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell, um,
See, yeah, there's a
there
lot. Jack
there
Black.
yeah, there's a lot of, and I think that time frame, and not to tangent too much, but I was listening to another podcast a while back, and they were really talking about like the future of comedy. Like we don't really have anything right now. Like and I know you love Tim Robinson, and like I think he can be funny.
God, I
I'll
love
give you
Tim
that.
Robinson.
You do, and I appreciate that. But I don't think there's just not an arsenal of comedians like ready to go making content
Right.
like there was in like the mid late 90s through like 2010, 2015. So I think
Well,
it would be go ahead.
yeah, no, and I was gonna say, I think it does too. It though, I think it has to do with just how comedy's changed and how we consume
Hmm.
media in general. Like then
Yeah.
it was like movies and stand up, you
Hmm.
know. Now you could get your own comedy special by making, 10 to 20 TikToks,
Yeah, that's
Instagrams,
fair.
like, with people like
Hmm.
Trevor Wallace and
Yeah.
to a certain, you could make the argument, I think, like Tim Robinson is one of the closest ones to that now, given like, he's got the
Hmm.
was on
Yeah.
SNL, Detroiters, I think
Yeah,
you should leave, all that stuff, but like there's just so many other ways for people to get comedy out,
that's fair. That's a
and
good
so you don't have the
yeah.
like they were like 5 to 10 because they were always in the same movies, but now you could go through your For You page and see 5
Hmm.
to 10 similarly funny people, 5 to 10 more and 5 to 10 more every time you scroll.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
No, that's a good point. And I think
yeah,
that's you're right. I think yeah, definitely the way that we consume is very different than it was
right.
back then. So yeah. Hmm. Well, I wish some of those guys that are on TikTok would make movies because I like comedies.
Right, because I yeah, no, I do too.
I like
Like, I
watching movies.
prefer hilarious movies to a handful of videos, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess what it is.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts in general before we start hopping into some categories and awards?
Not right now.
Okay.
I think we're clicking along. You know, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's also pretty clear that we could make one, we could make an entire podcast of just quoting this movie. Two, um, I think we need to make a conspiracy theory, a movie
Okay.
themed conspiracy theory episode could be fun.
Okay. Okay. We'll write it down. Boop,
So
boop, boop, boop.
anyway, other than that, I'm good. Let's jump
Okay.
into some
Some
categories and
cats.
awards.
Okay. All right. Starting us off. As always, has our boy Dustin Robertson seen this movie?
I see this one. I really thought he was gonna have seen when we talked
I
about it, but I don't. He said he didn't, did he?
No, yeah, he said no. I had the same note. I said this 100% seems like a Dustin movie, but I'm guessing
Right,
no. And he lived right up to that.
right, right.
When we said he said who's in it, we said Ben Stiller, and he said, "Who is that?" I was like, "Okay."
I know.
Said I'm not good with actors. I was like,
I
"Ah,
know.
God,
I
Dustin."
know you're not good with actors, but I feel like this is if there's an actor you'd be familiar with, I felt like it really would have been Ben Stiller, and he didn't.
Yeah,
No idea.
yeah, man. Like somehow, because uh, totally side note, Dustin's seen Friends, right? Dustin's a Friends guy.
Yeah, he's a Friends guy.
Ben Stiller is in Friends. I mean, I know it's like 2 episodes, but like
Right,
he makes a cameo. You know, I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna get Dustin into one of these someday.
right,
He
right.
seemed open to it, but
Hmm.
I don't know. All right, number two, Disneyfication award. Could this movie be made into a Disney theme park attraction or theme park attraction in general? And if so, what kind?
Yes, you ride
Oh.
through the brainwashing scene.
I love that. Just like a dark ride where you're just in like
Right.
a
Well,
slow
yeah,
moving
exactly.
vehicle. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Because I wrote no. So I'm glad that you thought of something. I struggled with this one. I
I
thought
try
it would
really
have.
hard to make these work. I will say that. The
Yeah.
theme
Yeah.
park
Yeah. Yeah.
ones.
Well, I appreciate that you had one because I think last time I did and you didn't. So there we go. We'll just switch off every once in a while. Yeah. Yeah. That would be interesting. I'd go on
Hmm.
it. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. The massage scene. I totally forgot about that. And I just pictured that being part of the attraction and
Of
be
the
like
ride.
couldn't be Disney. Couldn't be Disney.
Right. Mm-mm.
Oh man. All right. Bonesaw Award. What actor or wrestler turned actor could be in this movie and as what?
Mm. I feel like you can make an argument for several wrestlers
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah.
The first one that came to my mind, just because of like the just ridiculous fashions, was Ric Flair.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and just but there's so and I mean he could go anywhere. There's so many cameos and so many different situations. He could just
Sure.
be in there, you
Mm-hmm.
know, in one of the scenes. So that was my pick, was just a Ric Flair cameo basically.
Yeah. No, I think that's a perfect pick. That's what I had as well, and I don't say that just because I wrote it down. I think, to your point, like his fashion statements were ridiculous, right? You know, he'd
Right.
go out just very like
Like on
extravagant.
on
Y-
purpose, right?
yes, yeah, which is what this movie was really trying to do. You know,
Hmm.
part of it was I don't want to say making fun, but in a way it was of like the fashion world and things like that, and
Hmm.
I think trying to make some bold statements. So, yep, I think that's a good choice. I'm happy with that. All right, hot date. Who you taking out on a hot date?
I mean, like I want to pick the obvious one.
Then don't.
So I think I want to take Mila Jovovich out.
Another great choice, because that's what I would do. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
So the one from Michael and Daniel agree again.
Yeah, and this is just the second one where Michael. Yeah, it's not Rebecca
Right.
Ferguson this time. It's Mila Jovovich. So, I mean, she's really attractive, and like not
Yeah.
just in this movie, but like outside too. Plus,
Mhm.
now not gonna say it. Never mind. But you know, she's very attractive.
Yeah.
I would I'd go out on a date with her for sure, for sure. Although if I was gonna go on a bro date, I'm going out with Hansel. Because like he would just
Ansel.
be like when you get to his house and his apartment, whatever, like that
Hmm.
just looks like a super chill place to hang. You know,
It
I feel
does.
like that
It
would be
does.
it'd be a good time. Just go skateboarding and drink some tea with laced with drugs.
Hmm.
Sounds like a blast. Just kidding.
Total
But
blast.
all right, National Treasure. What what prop are you taking from set?
The fountain with the gas station.
Do that again?
The fountain with the gas pumps. You know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh-huh. Yep, yep. Um, I like it. This was a toss up to me. I really liked Zoolander's Bronco that he was driving. Like, that was a pretty sweet truck until it
Hmm.
got exploded in the gasoline fire.
Hmm.
So because it probably was no
Good point.
longer like able to be taken, I want Hansel's cowboy jacket that he wears, you know, with like the tassels and everything all over. Like I just think that'd be a pretty
Yeah,
dope
that's a solid the fringe jacket. Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
choice.
that's pretty sweet thing to add to the wardrobe there. I don't
Hmm.
have quite the swag that he does, but you know, maybe I can get there with a cool jacket. So
Yeah. Yeah. Sure you could.
yeah, it's a goal. You know, we're getting there, getting there. All right, trading places. Who are you gonna swap from acting history into this movie? Another, it's another tough one. I know it's hard.
I know, and I know we say this every time, and it's typically true, and it is here. I think everybody does well, and I wouldn't necessarily want this actor switched, but I think Jim Carrey, as we got to, could have been really good.
Bro, I wrote the same thing.
Did you really?
Yes, I swear to our audience out there, Daniel and I do not talk about these answers before we go in.
Purposely,
Um,
on purpose.
yeah, 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 yeah. So this is just you know, great minds think alike, I
Hmm.
guess. So, but yeah, but why? I kind of cut you off there. Why do you think Carrie?
I just, like his over the top man, like Will Ferrell's great, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong. And I think if anybody's on that Mount Rushmore, he's definitely on there.
yeah,
I think.
100%.
Um, but I don't know, just like the way like Jim Carrey's mannerisms, like
Mm-hmm.
physical comedy. Not that Will Ferrell didn't, but I think the physical comedy that Jim Carrey could have added to that role would have been an interesting spin on
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, plus,
Yeah,
I mean, he's a great comically evil bad guy. Just go watch Sonic.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
so
Yeah, I concur. I don't really have anything to add. I for pretty much the same reasons that you put out there.
hmm
Yeah, I'm with you. So, all right. I hope that the next two are different though.
yeah, I kind of do too.
If not, I'm gonna make something up.
Yeah,
All right. Goat award. Who wins the movie? What's the top choice here?
I think Ben Stiller
Okay.
for me.
Yeah. Why?
I mean, just through like the whole, you know, it's a movie this, for lack of a better term, dumb, could
Mm-hmm.
come off
It is
as
a
a
dumb movie.
stupid movie unless the dumbness is delivered in a very specific way,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think that they did it, but I also think that that's, that only really works one time. And I think you've seen that with like these sequels, like the sequels that have come out years later, like Zoolander 2, like Anchorman 2 and all that stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's really only you really have one chance to nail that type of performance, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
easily replicated even by the same people that did it, and I think from start to
That's fair.
finish he had the right amount of whatever it was that made Zoolander Zoolander, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. I thought about going Stiller. I really did. I think it's a good choice, good option. I
Mhm,
thought it was cool, and I didn't realize this till afterwards. But he directed the movie too. So
mhm,
like, not only is he the lead, he also directed it. So I'm with you. I think there's a lot to be said for him in this movie. I went with Owen Wilson, which I
right,
know he's kind of like he's the second fiddle. He's definitely not the real main character in the movie at all. But obviously, because it's not named Hansel, it's named Zoolander. But
right,
I just thought for some of the similar reasons that you chose Stiller, like I thought Owen Wilson, like he, a lot of the lines he delivered, they were perfect. He played like a chill, um, California guy,
mhm,
and he just I thought he complemented Stiller really really well,
mhm,
as kind of like a counterpart. And um, I don't know, I just like the movie would have still been funny if it was just Ben Stiller, but I think with some slightly more seriousness, but like still comedy, like I
mhm,
think it was a really good balance. And I think because I haven't seen Zoolander 2. I don't even know who's in it. I mean, obviously Ben Stiller's in it, but I think I'm trying to think of a good comparison here, but like you need the balance. If it had just been Ben Stiller, I don't think it would have been
mhm,
as funny. I think it would have been a little bit, as you said, dumber.
mhm.
But I don't know. That's just my thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. I can see that.
So, all right, last category slash award: freshest take. What's the freshest take that you think this movie? What do you think they did differently or new? Is there an idea or whatever?
Um, I don't know. I think they just did the whole concept of like a big ensemble comedy cast really well.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that had never been done before, but with this being one of the first movies of that time, like 2001, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of movies after that had those, like, and again, I keep referencing Anchorman, but that's one of the ones that's up there for me, like the
Yeah.
gang fight scene, you know,
Yes.
just
Which Ben
like
Stiller's
a
in.
constant stream of just actors after actors after actors, and
Yeah.
or even, people who aren't, and I think they may have been one of the first ones for that era to do that type
Mm-hmm.
of movie, and I think they did it
Yeah.
well, and then it continued, you know,
Yeah.
on for the next, 10 years realistically. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. That's good. That's good. Um, Mine is a little less cool or thoughtful, I guess. I just thought they're like them kind of choosing to parody the um, like the fashion scene was really cool, and I thought that they did it really really well.
mhm,
Just kind of looking at doing some digging and stuff. Like there are people who have worked for like actual fashion companies and magazines and things who have come out and said like that this movie actually kind of got it pretty well, and how I think it
mhm,
makes fun of pretty I think it might have lost some of its power in the past like 15, 20 years, but in that time frame, like I guess at the height of its influence, right? Just kind of like the fashion world
Mhm.
and even to the point of where, something it was trying to make fun of, like Blue Steel, literally turned into something that people were doing like accidentally, like
Mhm.
15 years later. So I thought that was a pretty fun and maybe even unintentional topic for them to really try and cover and parody. So
Right.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
And it's something different. Like I've never seen, unless I'm missing something, I've never seen anything like it. I've seen Devil Wears Prada. That's definitely not a parody or a comedy. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
It's my thought anyway.
close.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, I had to wet my whistle. All right,
Okay.
Dan. Uh, Shut up. All right, on three, we're gonna do our best blue steel for the camera. We're gonna do it for all our viewers out there. All right, you ready?
Do we have to do the?
I think so. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Three, two, one.
I think mine was better.
It was. You look like Fabio, the guy
Oh,
that
he's in that movie too.
he's in the movie. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
With the flowing hair. Oh man. All right, Zoolander, solid movie.
Great
I'm
movie.
glad we did this one. That was fun. That was
Hmm.
fun. So, um, just kind of closing notes as always. Appreciate all of you guys who've tuned in. I saw a guy today. He was a former college program student of mine. That doesn't live in the United States, right? And he was visiting Disney today. He was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, been listening to your podcast. And it's really cool." I was like, you know, I it's always cool to hear that feedback, right? So any of you all who are tuning in and listening, and
Hmm.
we do appreciate it. The support so far has been awesome. All of you who've followed and subscribed and continue to engage with us, do appreciate that. As always, I'd love to hear what people think about the
Hmm.
pod, and drop some comments if you think maybe Ben Stiller did belong on the Mount Rushmore, or maybe you think Duckface is superior, which you'd be wrong, but that's okay.
Right.
I'd still like to hear
That's your
what you guys have
opinion.
to think.
It's wrong, but that's your opinion.
Respectfully, that is incorrect. So, but yeah, any other closing notes, Dan? Anything you want to say before we head?
I do not. You've summed it up very well, Michael.
I Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate the positive reinforcement and feedback. Oh man. All right. Until next time.
Now
Now
this
this is
is
pod.
podcasting.